Hey, everybody. I wanted to share with you what is going on with the Ascension codes and beliefs. Since 2021, some of you may know that I have been pulled down into Mexico, Belize, Honduras, and it originally started with working with the crystal pyramids. So, the crystal pyramids are the energetic, like almost like an etheric form of where the pyramids used to be when there wasn't so much water. But when the water came and covered the earth, the pyramids did collapse. And so, there may be stones and things like that under the sea, but there isn't going to be some of those really solid shapes. But just like you could take a piece of leaf and you can cut it and then put it under something, you can see the outline of where the leaf that was cut is still there. It's no different. The energetic imprint of these crystal pyramids, of their importance and the codes that they carry and the activation signals that they send, it's all still there. It's all still there. It's just not quite on the physical plane in the same way. So I wound up going to Cozumel. I wound up going to Belize and Honduras. And what my team has been telling me is that now we're at a new level of ascension. So in December, I started dreaming again, and I'm such a big dreamer of the water. And it was water right off Honduras. And I had to laugh because I was already scheduled to be in Honduras in January. And when I went and I started working with the water there, I could feel this hum as it was coming in, and it was this beautiful low hum, and it was going through my entire body as I could feel the crystal pyramids out deep into the waters. And then when I went back and I was in the jungle, could hear the jungle communicating with me, and they were telling me what I needed to do in Belize. So I am actually heading to Belize next week, and I'm going to be working with some of the ruins that are closer to the Guatemalan border. And then I'm heading south to work in the water right off Palencia. And as I'm sitting with all the information that they are telling me, I really wanted to share with you all some big changes. So the last time I was in Belize, I had understood completely that there was a large grouping of Mayans that had figured out how to vibrate so much that they left the reality. And so originally, you're looking at that and you're going, yeah, I get that. We need to figure out how to do that. And we can learn and we can do this as well. Right. But then what I actually learned on that trip was really sobering, very much so, because what I was shown through dreams or even visions when I was at certain locations is that after the grouping left, it plunged definitely that culture into darkness. Because the ones that were left behind, all of a sudden, it became, well, we must have pissed off the gods. We must have done something wrong. And so it began with blood sacrifice, from wars, things like that. But by the time the Mayan really fell, that entire civilization was done for, they were sacrificing babies. And it's because something darker came in to the culture and used fear and manipulated. And there was also some, sexual innuendo that kind of came in because prior the Mayans had used divine sexual union to raise the vibration, to open up toroidal fields, to open up portals. And even that got twisted. And so it got changed over into, domination. And even some of that went to taking of innocence. And so it's like everything that they had been taught, it got twisted because of fear, control. And we understand that. We can see how so much of our world today is very much that. So when I was understanding this last time I was in Belize, I was like, oh my gosh, like I very much had the understanding that we were here. until until large groupings of the population could move out. And so that there wasn't this plunging into darkness. And so what's interesting, it's one of the reasons why with this process we are sorting, right? So we get sorted by vibration. People come into our lives, they come out of our lives. We have people who are choosing to leave this reality. We have people who are choosing to leave the body because it's easier to assist from the other side. We have this selection going on, if you will, instead of it being, okay, a portal has been opened up, let's go, and let's leave everyone else behind. And so I really wonder if some of the rapture stories didn't come from events like this, to where there's this belief that all of a sudden the righteous, the ones that are holding whatever it is that they're supposed to hold, all of a sudden get completely taken away, and then all the sinners are left behind. So when you look at what actually happened with the Mayans and the story of the rapture, you can see this thread, and it's very interesting. And Spirit has told me that's not going down this time. It was an experiment and it didn't go well because it actually took the entire process backwards. But one of the things that they have shared recently is that, you know, when this information of how the instantaneous moving out of reality affected everything, even affected karma, there has come in a maturity. And so there's information that has been put into the grids that when you hit that vibrational level, there is a maturity, an understanding that comes in when you anchor into that grid. Kind of like a download that you get to where you begin to understand, okay, you know what? It's not about me and my wishes. It is also about the whole and what is best overall. And so that does bring in some patience with this process. Not always a lot, I will tell you that. But when you start to understand all that, you start to go, okay, fine, patience. I understand that. So, one of the things that as I was in Honduras and I was working with the goddess Ishel, it was very much her saying, okay, you need to go to these places now. There's codes available now that have never been available before. And part of it is because the preliminary work had to be done in 2022, where I really was able to take things in and understand at a different level and share it into and anchor it into some of the higher grids. So now I'm going back and I'm going back. I leave here on the 13th and we begin our journey on the 14th to where we're going to lots of different places like St. Herman's Blue Hole, multiple Mayan ruins. We're doing the ATM cave. We're doing some of the ceremonial places like the Rio Frio cave, the Rio on pools, just absolutely gorgeous areas. And I have been told to really concentrate on particular ruins and the nature. There's a lot of ways in which the Mayans really they valued their jungle. They valued their nature. And so in some cases, the energy in those locations is actually purer than at some of the ruins, which is exactly what I found in France. That some of the outdoor locations that we went to and walked around and connected with the land were more holy, spiritual, whatever words you want to use, than some of the places that we were told were. So, and then I'm ending the trip in Palencia, and this is right on the Caribbean Sea. It's a really neat, gorgeous area. I haven't been there, but I have seen the pictures, and it's further south, and it used to be a huge Mayan community because they would trade salt. And so it was right there on the water. And when you get into where there was community, to where there were the average people living and working, you can really tap into some very pure energies that aren't quite as layered as some of the other ones. But I am offering some healings on this trip. I mean, the first one is just a simple 1 day, and it's going to be during the equinox. I will be on the water connecting with the crystal pyramids. So there is that healing. And then the other healing that is available is where you're going to walk with me on this trip. And I'm calling it the Path of the Mayan. So it begins on the 14th, goes all the way to the 20th. And different locations. I'll take videos. I'll share with you. I will absolutely send the energies to you from these sites. I mean, the way that works is, when you join this, you get put into a container, if you will. And then the energy gets put into the container and you can receive it when it's best for you. I actually program it with your teams, your guidance teams, and your oversoul and say, okay, when they're ready to receive this. And so everyone will receive some type of healing, some type of coding that will help them shift and also to remember, because what the Mayans did came from the Egyptians. It came from these ancient civilizations. There is a thread that connects it all. And when we look at there's a connection to the Maya in France on, say, Mount Bergerac. There's a connection there that they said that was the place, the Mayan calendar. And, then you also have the Egyptian, and you, I find it I find that this world's a lot smaller than what we think. That very much like the 100th monkey, that once something get was able to be downloaded and understood in the grid, when people attached to the grid, they were able to then bring it in. And even if they couldn't say verbally, it just became a knowing. And sometimes that knowing is more powerful than any words that can be spoken. So I wanted to share this with you because there's multiple things. First, there's the offerings, but there's also the fact that we are now at this stage. We're at the stage now to where we can begin to really pick up these codes and start to work with the Ascension codes. Now, one of the key differences with what the Mayans did, when the Mayans opened a portal, they showed me that as they crossed over, essentially their bodies disintegrated. They became light and they just walked and they were their light body. We're not doing that this time. This time we're keeping these forms and we're slowly moving them over into crystalline, into a light body. I'm not sure what words you want to use, but we're not dropping these forms. So there is a difference, but yet the techniques for how to raise your vibration, how to shift out of a negative reality are exactly the same. And there's knowings, there's things that they did that we don't know. We don't know. And that's what we're going to begin to download. And so it may be that these take a little while to unpack. I often see the codes. I've been calling them wisdom recently. Like, I'm going to pick up the wisdom because it's almost like packets of information that were purposely left behind, waiting for a vibrational match to come in and grab it and go, okay, now here's what we can do with this. Whereas before, it would have been gibberish. And even if we had taken it, we wouldn't have understood it. So we have a lot of amazing things ahead, a lot of amazing things. And while this process is definitely feeling a lot more intense, especially in the physical body, because that's where it's at now. There's a song out there that words are literally, it's in and through the body. And when I first heard that song, it's a Trevor Hall song. I mean, my entire body got goosebumps, my hair stood up, and that knowledge is so pertinent. It's in and through the body. It's not, worlds up here and this and that. It's right here, right here. And that's how we're going to shift this. So I wanted to share this with you. There's a link if you want to check out some more of the information below. But take care, and I hope that you have an incredible equinox. It is going to be very, very powerful. Take care.